going to happen. It's going to be recorded. All right. Let us start it off. Hey, let me reset it. Hold on. Everybody ready? Okay. All right. We're talking air duct cleaning. News Radio 840 WHAS. Good Sunday morning. Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show, here with you until the top of the hour. With us, some of our great folks, Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices. You can reach Chuck anytime at 499-6360. Also, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. They come in like vets. Well, they are vets. They come in like a team, and they do the job. And they are the number one home team inspection service. Was it 6 years in a row?
Six years and 1 month now.
Now in a month.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So you can reach, as I mentioned, Chuck Crosby at 499-6360. You can reach Brad Lawler and his team, home team, at 844-411-TEAM. There we go. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning,
and
folks.
My son Greg is back by popular demand, joining us. He does
You're waiting in the wings. I'm here.
Marketing, photography, so much more. Coming up a little later on, air duct cleaning. Brad's got a thought or two on that.
Yes, I do.
So let us start with Chuck. We've got questions coming in. Again, we're doing our COVID show, which means, as we have been now for almost a year, we're doing Zoom. We record it, and you can see it if you want. And it's on YouTube. It's that simple. Go to LouisvilleAnswers.com, LouisvilleAnswers.com, and then I'll redirect you to see the video version of this. Okay. So, Chuck, let us start with Jane has a rental home next door. There was a drug raid on the home.
Bob?
There's a no trespassing sign on the home next to Jane's home. She wants to sell her home, but the no trespassing is going to be a problem for the sale of her home, with buyers looking next door and seeing no trespassing. Any way to take that sign down?
No.
Uh-huh.
You put up a sign on your property unless there's something illegal about the sign. It's not coming down without some sort of court intervention, and I can't even begin to imagine what I would claim. I mean, what's it look like? Is it like 10 feet tall with neon signs, or?
No, I don't think so, based on the conversation that I had when I got this email. But the impression I've got is that she didn't put it up. It was the person who owned that home and the police or something like that, because it was a drug house. So she's just concerned, what does she do? So you can't take the sign down because obviously it's private property. Is there
private property.
Can you petition anybody for anything at this point? No.
No, unless it's a nuisance. You know, like I said, if it was 10 feet tall, neon shining in her window, lowering the property values kind of thing. But
could there be a case made there in that case? I mean, that
property values? Yeah, it's possible.
I mean, if that's an eyesore that's keeping people away, which would be driving, I don't know. What's the nuisance?
Well, because what's an eyesore? Define eyesore for me.
Well, I didn't say eyesore, nuisance, right? So
no. You see, you just use two different terms.
Oh, okay. I'm confusing myself then. I'm just saying, is it a nuisance that you can claim against? Not an eyesore. Forget an eyesore.
That's what I was saying. If it's a tall, 10-foot neon light item, then it could possibly be a nuisance. But a nuisance is a legal term of art. Suggesting that them doing something causes diminution in value on your part. Like if it was a feed lot next door and there were, gigantic tons of cow manure with flies all over the place. That's a nuisance. Having what I'm envisioning to be, 2 foot by 1 foot red and white sign saying no trespassing, you're not going to get there with that. That's not going to be a legal nuisance. Is it an eyesore? I think flamingos are an eyesore, but I can't go around suing everybody that has.
Are you kidding me? Flamingos, those cute little pink birds?
Well, wait, now could you get an HOA together in this case?
If
there's an HOA
Right.
HOAs will frequently have some sort of restriction as to what signs can go up. Most HOAs in regular homes don't have such a. I think you'd be hard pressed.
No, and I'm just saying, if we're just going to the end, if we're going to the nth degree in saying, oh, is there a resolution for this person to get this done? Could she go round up some neighbors,
and
build an HOA, outlaw those signs, and then I'm saying it's a stretch, obviously.
Okay, we got to move on because this is only a 30-minute show, and we've already beaten this one to death. So,
I was going to say it's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
unless you're.
Brad, moving on to a home inspection question. There are a lot of problems that any home inspector finds. Are there, I'll tell you why I'm asking this in a second. Are there any of them, the more serious ones, that need to be addressed as opposed to the ones that are more frivolous? And I know this could take a long time to answer, so just give me a short version.
Yeah, so real quickly, any water coming into a house is a key consideration. I don't care where it's coming from, whether it's the roof or whether it's the foundation or even water leaks in the house. Water is a problem. Any structural cracks, and I'm not talking about the settlement cracks that we can go on for days on that, but if we have, stair step type of cracks, if we have horizontal cracks, those are big problems. I would say age and condition of the equipment, HVAC units, those are always, questioned. Age of the roof is always a key consideration. After that, it's really going to be a whole litany of things that are going to cost you, $1,000 or more to repair. But water coming in the house is the biggest concern that we have.
And the reason I ask that is because there's a new report out that because of COVID and the stress of a lot of homeowners financially, that they're pushing off having repairs done. Mm-hmm. So your report or your discussion right now of water penetration, which could come from any area, I think is pertinent, that if you own a home, financial stress because of COVID or losing a job or whatever, be aware and alert to water problems. Any way it work around that, Brad, that you would
No, I mean, a lot of the repairs, water coming in the house can be, cost is relatively low to fix. I mean, putting gutter extensions or downspout extensions away from your foundation, that's a quick way to get water out of pressing against the basement wall. Calling a roofer, somebody that'll come out and make a minor repair on a roof. You don't have to replace the roof to correct, a water leak in the roof. Some people let them go too long because they fear that they're going to put a new roof on. I think some of those things can be handled, by themselves. I think, regular maintenance, of an air conditioning unit, that twice a year that's going to cost you maybe $120, per visit. Well worth the money to keep the equipment maintained and running well. Got it.
Let me move on back over to Chuck. This there's a bigger story to this, but I'm only going to touch on it for this show. Husband and wife getting a divorce. Husband signs a deal with somebody who does rehabbing of homes, and the wife doesn't sign it. And now the husband wants to sell the home, signs a contract to list the home and sell it, and the buyer buys it, but the wife never signed this initial contract with the first person who wanted to buy and renovate the home. So is there an issue here, and how is that handled in your mind?
Okay, well, first off, I'm a little fuzzy on the details at the beginning. Are both of them on the deed?
Both are on the deed. And
both are on the deed, and you've got some sort of, and I presume what you're talking about is they're selling the house to a flipper who's going to buy it, fix it up, and then sell it for a profit.
Right.
If that's the case, if one of the owners doesn't sign off on the contract, well, it's an invalid contract. If one of the owners doesn't sign off on the deed, well, then the deed's not valid. And when the flipper puts all his money into it and then tries to sell it, he's going to run into a big problem, but it shouldn't even get to that stage. The first thing that we always look for when somebody says, hey, we want to buy the property, here's our contract, is who owns the property. And then we start looking for names on a contract. And if you don't have husband and wife or both owners or company, then questions start getting asked.
And Bob, could that have been like one of those, you said it was fuzzy at the beginning because you were saying 2 contracts. Could that have been like an agent who was investing money into a rehab?
Could have been anybody.
Listing it to try to sell like all those new shows. And that's what I'm thinking. There was the layers.
What I normally see, what I'm seeing a lot of is you'll get, they call themselves wholesalers, where they will come to you and say, hey, I'll buy your property for cash. Then they go out and they find somebody to pay them for the house that they don't own yet. Okay. And they'll either assign their interest in that first contract, or they'll do a double closing, an A to B, B to C kind of thing. And that's where things start falling apart, because a lot of times they don't know to get the spouse, or they, just ask, are you the owner? And the guy says, oh yeah, I'm the owner. And then, you see those contracts come through and it's like, you're missing a few people. And even if they weren't married, even if the spouse wasn't on the deed, it doesn't matter. And even though they're in the process of a divorce, that doesn't matter, because until you are divorced, you are married. And if you are married and you're not on the deed, well, your spouse has that the dower or the courtesy interest given by statute, and still ought to be involved in all the contracts, because without their signature, it isn't going to go anywhere.
Got it.
Now, if it does go somewhere, somebody made a pretty big mistake. Somewhere
along the line, right?
Yeah.
That would never happen in your location. We know that for sure.
Well,
yep. You do your due diligence. I got it. We're going to take a break. When we come back, air duct cleaning. Yes? No? Maybe so? We'll talk about it. Brett's got some thoughts on it. If you want to see what people are saying about us, because we desperately need to list homes. That's the kind of the bread and butter for our business, my business. And there, a couple of weeks ago, past week, there were less than 1,400 homes on the market. So we're looking, if you're thinking you want to list, we now have a reverse contingency that will hopefully guarantee you that you're going to find your next home before you sell. This is a really good deal, but see what people are saying about us. Go to LouisvilleSellersTalk.com. Also read our reviews, LouisvilleZillow.com. Here with us in the studio, well, on Zoom at least, we've got Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices at 499-6360. Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service, 844-411-TEAM. My son, Greg, who I'm very proud of, does our marketing, photography, and so much more. And the videos he's producing these days are spectacular. So they're with us, and you can reach me anytime on my cell phone, Bob Sokoler, 376-5483. We're back in a moment on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS, and we're with you, Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show, to the top of the hour. And with us, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service, 844-411-TEAM. Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices, 499-6360. And Randy Rocky was with us 2 weeks ago. He'll be with us this coming week. And my son Greg is here with us, who does our marketing, photography, and so much more. And you can reach Barbara Corcoran on Shark Tank, and we thank her for being with us as well. I'm going to restart this intro here because I just thought of something in the middle of thinking. I'm going, oh, we got to redo that. So we're going to redo this intro. News Radio 840 WHAS, the Louisville Real Estate Show, here with you for the top of the hour. And still with us, Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices at 499-6360. Also, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service, 844-411-TEAM. My son Greg, who does all of our marketing and photography and so much more, and I'm so proud of him. And you can reach me, Bob Sokoler, anytime, 376-5483. Our thanks to Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank fame, who does a great job on Shark Tank and is also a mentor and a friend. All right, so we are talking about air duct cleaning. Brett, sum it up. Air duct cleaning is what for anybody who doesn't know?
Well, that's a great question. What is it? Some of the folks out there, there's some companies that want you to, just pay them $99 and they'll come out and clean your ducts. Now, basically, that just means they're going to vacuum out your registers. I've not had that personal experience, but I have clients who have experienced that. If ducts are cleaned correctly, okay, this is all of the HVAC, all of your heating, ventilation, air conditioning, ductwork. It's going to be all the ducts. It's going to be the supplies. That's the part that pops out into the rooms. It's going to be inside the cabinet. So it's going to be the coils. It's going to be, any of the air plenum. It's going to be the blower. All of the dust, all the particles are taken off when done correctly. The problem is not all of the companies that do duct cleaning are doing it thoroughly. My experience with the good quality companies, and there are many in Louisville, you just check the reviews, you'll find out who they are, but you're probably going to spend, $300, $350 or more to do duct cleaning correctly. Some of the companies will come in and use blowers to loosen the particles up. That's just part of their process, but they don't have strong enough vacuum, so they end up spraying dust out into the rooms, which of course they say they clean up afterwards. But I've had clients that have had kind of bad experiences with some companies. They're only as good as the technician, the equipment, and the training that they've received.
Do you get it? Do you recommend that folks do it?
I recommend that anybody moving into the house, if say you're a non-smoker and you've bought the home of a smoker, which is where I've seen it used very effectively. I've also know of a few companies in town that do a great job cleaning out ductwork when mold is found in the air system. I think it can be done effectively. Those are great places for it. If you're servicing your HVAC unit, the technician's probably doing that portion of it. As long as you're changing filters out on a regular basis, you're really kind of preventing a lot of the dust from getting in the system anyway. It's captured before it gets there. So I think there's probably points in time that it's useful for different situations, but it's probably not something everybody would do every year, I would think. I've never done it in my house personally.
Got it. And I know Chuck's in a fairly new condo. Greg has a new home. Mine's a number of years old.
We did it at the old Springhurst house.
I think so.
Remember when we moved out, we got it because we had a bunch of dogs and everything. But we did that prepping. But they went in there with like the rotary brushes, big vacuums. I was living there at the time, so I remember seeing them. They weren't spraying chemicals. They were literally just going in there, cleaning and doing a deep clean of the actual vents.
Yes. Yeah. That's the way to do it. You gotta be able to break it loose, whether you're using brushes or this process that uses the compressed air. Again, I've seen it used wrong, but you have to mechanically lift that dust or remove it from the surfaces because it's stuck pretty tight to it.
Would you recommend someone who buys a new home to have this done as well, since there's air contamination?
Yeah. If there's been pets in the house and you have allergies, I would definitely recommend it. That's really going to help you from a health standpoint.
Interesting. Okay.
But ask the questions of the company about what their process is going to be, because again, I know a lot of these companies offer a $99 special, but you don't get anything for $99. Your house might smell better as they spray some, deodorizer, in a vent, but it's not really cleaning out the system.
Typically, get some Febreze for $4.99 and spray your vents. And
typically, what do they cost to do a good job? What do they?
What I've been told by clients, in situations where they've had to clean out nicotine or they've had to clean out mold, allergens, they're telling me that it's $300 to $400. I think $350 is probably kind of the normal point for an actual full clean.
Got it. All right, thanks, Brad. Because that was a question that came up. It actually was spurred by an ad that was sent out via email. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know that much about it. Let's talk about it. So good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to Chuck for a legal question. So Sarah owns a multifamily home. It's on the market to be sold, yet one of the renters is refusing to have showings and is making it very difficult for Sarah's real estate agent to sell the home, get it shown, let alone sell it. What rights do a renter have, and what rights do the owner of a multifamily unit have? Chuck?
Okay. Well, with a renter, with a tenant, you're governed in Jefferson County by the Landlord Tenant Act. And that's pretty specific. If whether it's in the lease or not, the Landlord Tenant Act says give them 48 hours notice and you can go in. Or if it's an emergency, you can go in. If the pipes are freezing and bursting, you can go in. If the tenant refuses to let you go in, okay, let's say you give them the 48-hour notice and they're sitting at the door with, their Second Amendment rights in their hands and saying you're not entering. Well, obviously, don't go in. It's just not safe. But then what you immediately do is you turn around and you send them a certified letter, of course, saying, hey, you're in violation of the lease and the Landlord Tenant Act, and you have 14 days to fix it. It's called the 14-day letter. If they fix the issue within 14 days, which is letting you in, then everything's cool. But if they redo it again within 6 months, then you just send them a notice saying, hey, you're done here. The lease is over. You need to get out. Now, if they don't fix it within the 14 days, if they're still adamant after that, well, then at the 30th day, the lease can be canceled, and then you just evict their butts.
Okay, so that's if they're not fixing. But what if showing?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the non-compliance. When I say fixing, I mean stopping the non-compliance or resolving the non-compliance.
Okay, so just to reiterate, for Sarah's benefit, this particular renter wants to take the keys out of the lockbox, says, I've had it, I'm not dealing anymore with it. What does Sarah do with the renter? Puts a letter.
Well, you do your 48-hour notice. If they don't allow you to go in at the 48th hour, then you do the 14-day notice.
Got it.
If they fail to comply within the 14 days, then at the end of the month, the lease is up. Okay, and then you evict them. But you have to follow a specific procedure with the 14-day letter. It's got to say the right thing. It's got to be sent. You've got to have proof that you've sent it. Don't necessarily have to have proof that it was received, oddly. That's why I say send it certified mail. That way, whether or not they pick up the certified mail is irrelevant. It was offered to them.
Chuck, can I ask a question on that?
Go.
Sure.
Because the thing that we run into at times when we're inspecting these multifamily properties like that, and there's a 10-day inspection contingency on it, but you're saying that they've got 14 days.
That's now you're jumping things. The contract is one thing, but the Landlord Tenant Act says that if a person's in non-compliance with the Landlord Tenant Act contract or with lease, then you have to send them a 14-day letter. That's all non-compliance except non-payment.
Okay.
Non-payment is a 7-day letter.
Okay. So I guess it kind of goes back though that if they stop us at the door and they say you can't come in, then which is fine. We're gonna honor that. But
absolutely.
What okay. Again, I don't want to get into the contracts and the what ifs, but it just seems like that puts everybody in a tough spot.
It is, because then from what Chuck says, they have to file a 14-day letter, but the contract may only allow for 10 days for inspections.
Right. Exactly.
Which means everything's got to be. So I guess.
Well, it's all a good point though too, but you should, as an agent, hopefully you'll find out way before you start the active listing. So I know, like when I go do photography, we've run into this a couple of times in the years. Where I'll go in, and I've been in a situation where the renter has no idea I'm coming, and we've communicated with the owner and everybody, and they somehow whatever happens, and we get there, and it's then that you should do this, contact an attorney, contact Chuck, find out what your next step is to make sure you write that letter, because don't let it go past that. If they're not letting the photographer in to do listing, if there's any chance of that, then you're going to have an uphill battle coming.
And in my experience, generally, when you have a tenant like that. It's not like this is going to be the first thing they do.
Right.
But I've run into it. And, if you can't get in to inspect, Brad, well, then you have to go back to the seller and say, hey, you're not allowing us to inspect, which is going to void the contract, or at least give you the option to void it. You can certainly, take it sight unseen, but that'd be silly. But that's when buyers, sellers start renegotiating.
Chuck, just because we have a lot of rental owners who listen to us, the cost to have an attorney like yourself put together a 14-day letter, What are we talking about dollar-wise, just so we know?
Minimal. I
Minimal.
mean, we're $75,
Okay.
somewhere in that neck of the woods.
Okay.
Plus, what is it, $3.65 to send out a cert mail.
Yeah, so just note anybody who's listening who's having this problem. And, on the other side, I feel for renters because they're at the mercy of a showing and people walking through their home. But
Yeah, don't be a bad landlord. Good. I like where you're going there, Bob. Don't be a bad landlord. That
right. But
make sure you communicate.
And more importantly for the renters, read your lease before you sign it, because it will spell out, I suspect, that you have to have a 48-hour advance notice. And by the way, Chuck, can that come in the form of an email with a return receipt from the email?
I generally don't like that. The statute was written way before emails, and it defines notice as either actual notice or sending something out, cert mail, and that sort of thing. It's difficult to prove if you say, yeah, I taped a note to the door. How do you prove that?
So then what do you suggest for a showing?
Cert mail.
But wait, for a showing, if an agent who has a house listed,
I see what you're saying.
And there's
how do
a
you
renter,
give them the 48-hour notice?
right? Exactly.
If you think you have an issue, like with this deal, always tape it to the door, send an email, call them, do whatever.
Okay.
But also send it cert mail.
But for the showing, because this could be on a regular basis, it seems like a certified email, or not a certified, but
that's when you have a problem, Bob. That's when you have a problem.
Got it.
If you don't have a problem, just give them a call.
Give them a call.
Say, hey, we've got a showing coming up.
Got it.
And if they then say, oh, no, you can't come in, well, that's when you start, playing by, the letter of the law. But if your tenants are, decent tenants, well, shoot, just call them, send them an email, do whatever it is you normally do.
All right. Finally, excuse me. Finally, we want to wrap things up with something that we've talked about a number of months ago. We're going to talk about it more. A number of weeks ago, I put some calls in, and sellers who were thinking about selling but on hold because they couldn't find another house. I reminded them of something that we started doing, and I think Brad, Chuck, Craig, you've heard this, the reverse contingency. And this is where we're able to, let's say Chuck is selling his condo and it's listed for $400,000. Brad wants to buy it. He sends an offer through the agents of $400,000. Chuck then counters back and says, I'll accept the $400,000, but it's contingent on the seller, me, Chuck, being able to find another house within 10, 15, 20 days. And then it doesn't become a valid contract until I release this contingency. There's a little more legalese in this, but that's the basic premise. And when I explained this to our potential sellers, they said, we never thought of that. And so I have a scheduled call back with both of these people independently in the next week or two. They're probably going to put their homes on the market using this reverse contingency. Any quick thoughts about from the two of you or three of you on a reverse contingency?
Sounds like something whose time has come with the market that we have here.
Yeah. Nothing crazy. We had seen it. It just wasn't widely accepted because, like you said, Chuck, it's the balance of the market. If you've got a firm buyer's market, well, then
screw that.
Things are moving. There's inventory. You don't have to worry. But if it's a firm, it's low inventory. Well, it's needed. Like you said, it's just kind of one of those things where people weren't thinking about it, and you got to use your brain.
There's so few homes on the market now that buyers will actually do that because there's a good chance, at least a 50-50 chance, that the seller's going to find a home. Chuck's going to find his next home, and then everything moves forward. So it just, agents, if you are listening and you're not part of our team, and by the way, we're looking for agents, call me. I'll give you the scoop on the reverse contingency. Our thanks to our buddies Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices, 499-6360. Also Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. And you can reach them at 844-411-TEAM. My son Greg does our marketing, photography, and so much more. And you can reach me, Bob Sokoler, 376-5483. We're out of time. We'll see you next Sunday on News Radio 840 WHAS. All right, guys. Apple was blowing up my phone during this because I'd already found out they're canceling. I had a service call on my Mac. they're canceling it because they're closing everything down.
No.
Yeah, I was getting
Icepocalypse.
inspector texts too, so I'm assuming they're.
It's gonna be like how many years ago was it? I was in college still. I was down at UK when the last big ice storm came and everything shut down, and it was magical. We went out to the McConnell Springs and everything was iced over and berries. And
You're talking about 1994?
No, that was the big snowstorm. We're talking like 2007. 8 was it's like my sophomore junior year in high school or college.
You know, having been raised in an area where there's 7 feet of snow a year on average.
Oh, but people don't know what's going on here.
I softly chuckle.
Well, but my concern is this is ice as opposed to.
Yeah, I know.
Well, right. That's what I'm looking at the storm tracker.
And you got to watch out for all the other people.
Right.
But,
people who don't know how. This is what we're.
I'll be at work tomorrow and Friday. So.
Well, the question is how do I get how do I get to the airport at 7 o'clock in the morning?
Well, it's supposed to be going. Yeah, it's supposed to be going all night.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, which car has 4-wheel drive and which electric car do you trust more to drive on that shit?
It's which one do I trust more to crash?
Do you want me to try to pick you up? I got the Highlander.
No. I got it. The Jag has got 4. So
right.
Hey, have any of you guys ever run into this? I just got a letter from someone making an unemployment claim, unemployment insurance claim, saying that they worked here from 2016 through 2020. I of course don't know who they are and have never employed them.
Well,
that's new.
Bob, you want to stop recording?
No, I can't because if I stop. Oh wait, I can't stop. Hold on a second.